All right, welcome back. All right, so I told you in the last video we're going to kind of break out these measures a little bit deeper. So I want to just take a few minutes on measures split into three different buckets. One would be the consumer, and really this is the whole purpose. This is the whole reason we exist. What value are you providing to your consumer? The market, how you compare against your competitors primarily. Product supply, the efficiency of your product supply, which is one of the points of category management. And then financial, these obviously tie in hand, but this is how you're using your cash. So let's look at these a little bit deeper, and then we'll go on. So your value to your consumer. Now, this is where your marketing research department comes in. Your satisfaction levels, obviously there's a ton to do in marketing research, but you need to understand how satisfied your customers are. One of the primary ways to understand how satisfied your customers are retention and loyalty measures, like do they come back? If a customer comes back, there's a pretty good chance they're satisfied with what you're doing. Unless you're the only store in town, then you have other issues. But for the most part, if you have competition around and they are coming back, then they're relatively satisfied. That's just one aspect, okay? That's repeat business and retention. People die, people move out, those kind of things. But for the most part, you can determine based upon your loyalty numbers how you're retaining your customers. You can see shopper trips, shopper frequency, shopper growth of basket and shrinking of basket, and those kind of things. Percent purchasing by category. If you don't do this already and you're a retailer and you're watching this, you need to stop this video and go figure this part out, because this is like your gap analysis by your consumer as compared to what they should be buying in your categories. And if you're going to go through all of this work to determine roles, but you're going to have people that are just going to shop your perimeter, then your roles don't work. Because what if your perimeter was supposed to be kind of an occasional or preferred, and all your destination categories are in the middle of your store, and everybody's skipping the middle of your store, right? That's percent purchasing by category, and you got to get that back. You got to get people down your aisles if they're skipping the center store. You can get them down your aisles by giving them incentives, lowering your price, right? We've talked about whether or not you should charge 20% higher on tuna because you make your own bagels. You have to have some relevance in your center store, otherwise you have an imbalance in your store. And all you do, your heat map of traffic is just people doing this. Okay, you don't want that. Go in the middle of the night after a snowy day and see actually where all the mud tracks are. And if your mud tracks do this in your store, then you're missing something here. All right, your center store isn't there just to make your perimeter look good. Your center store has to perform. All right, so percent purchasing by category is pretty important. And then overall household penetration, that could be a number of different measures, but household penetration in your marketplace, you can actually measure, or inside because most loyalty cards you can determine how many people are in there. If you can determine there's a 5-person family and they're buying about $20 a week, you don't have a whole lot of penetration of that household. They're going somewhere else. All right, so now move over here. Your market, how you compare in your market. Obviously market share. Market share is important. Dollars and units. You can get to dollars and units. Dollars inflate things, so make sure you can get down to units. This is really where your tonnage is. Your opportunity gaps, you've measured them in your assessment. In your assessment, you'll know where your opportunity gaps are, and you need to be tracking your opportunity gaps. On the converse, you need to be tracking your surpluses to make sure that you're protecting them. They're surpluses for a reason. And then your overall index growth. There are charts out there that tell you how you're trending in your overall market. Because remember, you have a market trend and then you have a U trend, and hopefully you are trending higher or at the same as the market. Otherwise, you have an issue there. Product supply, this is your efficiency. New item introduction, we've discussed how important new items are to your business, to your trend, to the overall look of I'm on top of things as opposed to I'm an old retailer. Your pricing accuracy, you can understand your pricing accuracy First, a lot of companies have a policy where you get a product free if it's not priced, so you have a report of that. Category business plan implementation, you have your implementation at store level is your planogram resets. So you have an entire reset schedule and a reset crew and a reset managers, and so you understand where that's going, and you should start seeing bumps in the stores that they are reset, or you didn't do something right. And your service levels, this is service levels on both sides. This is service levels coming in from your manufacturer, this is service levels going out to your stores. They're both important, because obviously don't have too much, don't run out. If you have 100% service level, you probably have too much inventory. If you have a 90% service level, you're missing sales. You got to be somewhere in between there. And then financial, using your cash. Turnover, that's sales turnover. So by units and equivalent units. If you don't have, there's another one to stop the video. If you don't have some way of ascertaining what your equivalent units are, as you as a retailer, then you need to stop the video and go figure this thing out. P&G did this with stat cases 40 years ago, because this takes all your inflation and deflation out of the picture and equivalates the units to a measure so you understand what your tonnage is. Gross and net profit by SKU, you should be able to get down to by SKU of your gross and net profit. These are your inventory turns, pretty important, right? And then your return on your inventory. This can mean understanding whether or not you have high cube, you have high dollars sitting there, you have a lot of cash sitting on, so you have return on assets, return on inventory. Next video, we're going to take a walk through a grocery store.